How should I leave my church? Please notice I choose my words carefully, at least most of the time. I didn't say, should I leave my church? I said, how should I leave my church? I don't know whether your situation is one in which you should leave your church, but I do know that once you reach that stage, once that is the case for you, that you ought to or you may leave your church, you still have to answer the question about what is the means by which I ought to do this? How do I make this come to pass? For most of us, because we have this view, including those who lead so many of our churches, that church is nothing more than a kind of social gathering. All you have to do to leave the church is stop going to one church and start going to another church. But that belies the nature of the church and the nature of church government and church discipline. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, we're told that we should live in such a way that we don't cause grief to those who will give an account for our souls. Who are those people? Who's going to give an account for our souls? Well, I want to suggest to you, it's the elders of your church who've been given authority to rule in the church and to lead and guide and direct and empower all of us for ministry. But if you don't have actual elders that you can name, then you can't fulfill that commandment. But this is not why you need to join a church answer. This is a how do you move from one church to another? Well, because you recognize or should recognize the authority of the elders in your church, assuming again that it is a true church, not a perfect church, but a true church. Here's what you do. You go to your leadership, the elders of your church, and you say, I would like to go to church X. Would you please transfer my membership from our church to that church? It's not terrible. It's not hysterical. There's not weeping and wailing. It's not a big deal. Because we all believe in the Catholic, that is, universal church. That anyone who wants to go from one church to another church, from a true church to another true church, why wouldn't they be able to do so? Why would anybody try to stop them? So, of course, the elders should say, well, of course you can. And we'll be happy to do that. But that's doing it decently and in order. What you don't do is say to your elders, will you please set me free, and I'll let you know when I find a new shepherd. What kind of shepherd would a pastor be if he takes one of the sheep under his care and he opens the gate and he lets it out and he says, good luck finding another shepherd? Well, we'd call that kind of shepherd a hireling. However, a shepherd who takes a sheep and puts it on his shoulders and carries it to another shepherd and says, here, please take care of this sheep. And the other shepherd says, I'd be delighted to. Those are both good shepherds. And it's an honorable sheep. Friends, I know this seems like a burden. I know it seems draconian, but it's really, really not. All it is recognizing the reality that all of us need to be under authority. I know authority can be abused. I also know a lack of authority can be abused. And the Scripture has given us not a complete and detailed book of church order, but it has told us that we're to be under the authority of the elders of the local church. So how do you change churches? How do you leave your church and go to another? You ask. You submit. You honor. You have peace. Oh, and by the way, when you do go, you don't talk bad about the old church. I got a secret for you. If you do talk bad about the old church, it's not going to make the people of the new church happy. It's going to make the people in the new church, including the elders, know here comes trouble.